So I just got done watching the 1969 film, The Torture Chamber of Dr. Sadism. And yeah, that's a pretty intense title, and it kind of you kind of have to expect a lot from it. It feels like it's going to deliver much. With a title like that, it's a pretty big promise, actually. And for a 1969 film, it did deliver. I'll give it that. It really did. So the film is about Christopher Lee. It gets accused of killing 12 people, and he ends up basically being tried at the stake kind of deal. But he gets this spike mask put on him, and all of his limbs are pulled apart by four separate horses. And then and then years later, in the current day, it's basically his just revenge happening. There's a girl in the film at the very beginning, sounds like the doll from Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the doll that has depression. Sounds just like her. And there's this one part where these things, they're called the Seven Deadly Sins, and they honestly look like the Nazgul from the Lord of the Rings. And I'm wondering if that's where Peter Jackson got the influence. And obviously that's how they are in the books, but I mean if the specific influence. But it was pretty cool. They get to the castle and it's all destroyed and everything, but there's this part where the castle is destroyed, and we know it a mile away, but they get there and they're like, oh, it's destroyed. The castle is just gone. But they're within like 2 feet. He doesn't even say anything until they're within walking distance of it. It's just like, yeah, I could have told you that, buddy. It is gone. But the woods, there's this really cool part where they're in the woods and everything gets foggy and there are bodies, just all kinds of and body parts scattered everywhere in the trees. Very, very cool visual from this film, honestly. And there's this one part where a blonde friend of the lead actress is in a death trap and she gets set free. And I remember thinking, I'm like, dang, I kind of wanted her to, get in the trap. I kind of wanted the trap to get the best of her. Damn Saw films. Ugh. What have they done to us as a generation? It's just the kind. That's the thing. I love these classic horror films, but honestly, there's parts of me that's like, oh man, I need some blood and guts. So where's it at? But anyway, we find out that Christopher Lee is actually, what he did was he found all these different virgins and was trying to get this ritual done so he could come back to life. And when he cuts himself, his blood turns green, which I thought was a rather interesting choice, considering, as far as we know, he's a resurrected human, but he's still a human nonetheless. I kind of thought green was an interesting choice, but it is what it is, only Christopher Lee can pull off the badassness like that. The whole thing, though, was for eternal life, which I thought was a little, it was kind of, should have had a V8 moment for me, which of course it was going to be eternal life, and he needed the blood of all these women. That's why he grabbed the last victim, which is our lead heroine. So, but there was this really cool part that I noticed whenever they were coming to save the lead, the two men were, when they were coming, there was real buzzards. There were real buzzards in the film, and it looked awesome. It just added that awesome element of real authentic horror. At the bottom of the chamber was also filled with real snakes, and that scared the everlasting shit out of me because I hate snakes, but it was once again authentic, so it was pretty cool. The lead actress, the one thing I really liked about her, and I liked about the directing, she refrained from screaming the whole film until like the very end. Usually in films like this, that's all the women do is scream. So it was a pretty nice turn of events, but the ending credits for me, the only issue I really had were the ending credits was very like 70s sitcom to me. It was like, da-da-da, that's the end. It's Dr. Torture Chamber. But overall the film was it was pretty cool. It lived up to his name. It wasn't over the top like blood and gutsy that we have now, of course, but this was the 69. So it was about to be the 70s, which, we had The Exorcist. So, we're at that fine line where it's very traditional classic horror film, but kind of bringing it into the new age. But anything with Christopher Lee back then, in the horror genre is going to be awesome. But that's pretty much all my thoughts on it. It's a great film. I want to say I said great film, and I really meant it. It is a great film. You kind of have to have a specific taste to like it. But if you want to check it out for yourself, it is free on Amazon Prime. I'm sorry, Prime Video. So feel free to check it out and let me know what you think in the comments below. Take it easy.